Should I just start it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for joining us. A couple weeks back, we had our CAR meetings. By the way, my name is Michael Bordelis, 2021 President of the Greater Downey Association. And I'm here today with President-elect Jennifer Avilan and also Director Josue Barrios. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we encountered on Zoom a couple weeks ago. So from one Zoom to another. I think I'll start a little bit. I'll start with a couple things that came up that I attended. One is regarding MLS committee meetings, and the big topic still is the clear cooperation policy. So it is in effect. We have coming soons. When you get a listing, if it is publicized in any way, shape, or form, it needs to be in the MLS within 24 hours. That's still in play, but what was talked about, I'll just say it, is the abuse of it. The abuse being that some are putting it on coming soon and using that to capture buyers and sell it themselves. That's the 5-second version of it. The other topics about it is, do you even keep coming soon with that kind of abuse happening? The other part of it is different MLSs are having issues with the feed that is going to different consumer websites such as Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, and what have you. Some are picking up coming soons and some are not, depending on the feed coming from the local MLS. So that was one big issue that arose, and everyone seems to be up in arms about how to deal with it going forward, because the intent was definitely good in our times with limited inventory. So Jennifer, Josue, would you like to talk about anything in particular that came up? And I have one other thing, but I'll pass it along.
I'll let Jennifer go ahead.
I didn't really have anything else to add regarding the clear cooperation policy, aside from what you've already mentioned. I think like you said, the big issue is the abuse of the policy, where people are posting it under coming soon and forgetting that when it's under coming soon status, no one can show the property, not even the seller, to any prospective buyers, not the agent, anyone, until it's removed from the coming soon status. So that's kind of been one of the biggest issues, and a big topic of conversation regarding the clear cooperation is just, again, the abuse. Right.
What committees did you attend, Jennifer?
So I can go over risk management if you're ready for me to go over.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So the key areas that were covered in risk management were data encryption, data backup, and eavesdropping. We had a really good speaker. His name was Josh Sharmans. And I think just to start off with the data encryption, the important, it's not easily accessible. I think a big example, which was something that affected our country recently, was the Colonial Pipeline, where the CEO paid 4.4 million ransomware to a cyber attack on the company's network. So that's just something on a big scale. But I think just even as real estate agents, small business owners, or brokerages, if we don't have our data encrypted, imagine if you all of a sudden you have a database of 5,000 people, or even a few hundred people, and all of a sudden you get hacked and you don't have access to any of your data. There goes years worth of a database, right? And you are your database. That's why the information is so important. So they talked about the importance of encrypting the data on your computers. Another key area was just backing up your data. He mentioned that installing a having a cloud backup on all computers in your home, if you have multiple computers at home. iCloud's not a good backup system, neither is just having a G drive. He highly recommended the importance of the backup being done automatically, where it just you don't have to actually back it up whenever you feel like backing it up. It just happens automatically. He gave an example of in the years in the past where CAR had been hacked. And because they had their data backed up on a regular basis, they basically lost 4 minutes of data, basically whatever was being processed. So it can happen to anybody. So again, the importance of backing up your database and making sure that it's automatic, not something that you have to do, whenever you feel like you want to back it up. We forget. There are a couple of companies that he recommended. He said one that is called Blackblaze. He likes that one because it's a low cost and it has no file limit. There's also another company called Crash Plan, which also is a good option. He also mentioned Carbonite is also a good solution. Now going into another area of risk management is called eavesdropping. And he talked about the importance, especially if you tend to go to spots, let's say you're at the airport, you're at any of the conferences, and a lot of the hotels have free Wi-Fi access. It's very important to basically have a VPN or virtual private network set up on either your computers if you're using laptops and you're using free Wi-Fi access. Basically, it helps keep your data and your identity secure while you're online. And it basically encrypts your data so it masks your phone address and rerouting the internet traffic through the virtual private networks, just basically making it anonymous. And he gave an example where he set up in one of the CAR conferences, he set up a little hotspot. It was within like a pineapple. It's like a decorative pineapple. And he said within like 27 minutes, about 50 people in the room had connected to that hotspot. So imagine if, and these are directors, these are, our associates, how easy it is to hack into people's information. Basically, of those people, nobody had a VPN set up on their phone. It was just easy to access everyone's data. I had even known of another director in our region, in our CAR region, who actually had used, I think, a Wi-Fi network at an airport and had his identity basically stolen. They had opened up, credit cards and things like that. So it happens. It can happen to anyone. Another key area or just tidbits of information is, he mentioned that because our information is out there, we sign up on different company websites, different retail companies, etc. A lot of times those companies have data breaches, and he gave us a domain, a company called Have I Been Pwned, and that's PWNED. And if you put in any email address, it can tell you if your data has ever been breached. He said that he put in his information, and it showed that his email had been breached probably about wherever it was on different sites about 16 times. He put Joel Singer's in there, and he said also his had been like 16 or 17 times. So it's important to know. So I highly recommend everyone check that out. And he also recommended the importance of using a password manager. Sometimes we're not very careful about where we store our passwords. And if we do happen to get hacked, imagine if you have it saved in an unsecured location, or we don't have our data encrypted, we basically are giving somebody access to all of our websites where, a lot of private, it could be even banking information. So those were the key areas that Josh Sharman's covered on risk management. So I can also, he recommended a few companies for the virtual private networks. I can add that to the chat, or I can actually share that with Jeanette so she can disseminate that information whenever this goes live. And that pretty much concludes my report.
Okay, great. So Josue, I know there was a lot of talk in several different meetings about the same thing regarding the CAR building in Los Angeles. And I wasn't never quite sure. They kept speaking of like the pathway to home ownership. We were talking about that in relation to a building, and I wasn't quite sure what that was about. But can you kind of explain what's been going on there?
Sure. Yeah, it's been in the works for a few years now. And so CAR has a building. They in just outside of downtown LA in Koreatown on Virgil. It's an older 6-story building. And so they really only utilize the first few floors for administrative reasons. And so part of our mission as realtors is to promote and support affordable housing. And so a few years ago, we decided, well, how about we reinvent this building and try to figure out how to better maximize not only the administrative stuff so that it benefits our organization administratively, but how to be part of the solution. And especially in LA, there's big issues with affordable housing, with homelessness. And so this was a solution where we put our money where our mouth is. And so we've been in the works of trying to figure out what we can do. And so they actually have put together proposals where we can demo the building and then build essentially a new structure that not only houses our administrative needs, but also creates, at this point, up to 180 housing units. And a handful of those can be designated towards affordable housing, towards workforce housing. But as with anything construction related, we've hit snags along the way. And so some of the board is starting to get a little frustrated. And so this was our opportunity to kind of revisit what we want to do there. And so some proposals were sell the building, buy something less affordable because they've had it appraised, and it's because of real estate prices, it's actually gone up quite a bit in the last few years. So we're looking at that as an option. The other is just stay the course, continue to do what we intended to do from the beginning. And then there's other hybrid models. So essentially, we had a very robust conversation with our entire board of directors to kind of, everyone was able to express their opinions of what they thought was the right solution. So we are going to continue at this point. The issue got continued till our next meetings, which are going to be in October. So we'll have some better idea then at that point of how we want to move forward.
Right. Stay tuned there.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. I'll speak about one thing, and then I have one more question for you, Josue. One of the other committees I was in was strategic planning, and Joel Singer, our CEO, had a chance to speak about how the market in general. He was our the economist for CAR years and years ago, and before he took the CEO role. And once a year, he kind of gives a state of the state in terms of real estate address. And he spoke about how obviously we all know that real estate is doing really, really well. Prices are up in every city, county, pretty much across the board, across the nation, and of course here in California. But one interesting fact was, for the first time in over 100 years, the population of California is not increasing. It is plateaued, possibly even maybe showing signs of going down for the first time. And of course, the big reason is people are moving out of state. So how that will affect our state and the real estate market on a statewide level or on a local level is, we will see. For now, of course, everything is booming. But he was saying when there is a recovery that will happen, eventually there will be a correction. And when there is a recovery, because of the population changes that are occurring, that we may see a lag in recovery because of that. But of course, we're a few years away from that. Anyways, Josue, were you also in another committee? Was it on taxation and finance, or?
Yeah, that's actually taxation and government finance, and so that's more of a legislative body. And so one of the issues that was discussed was a bill regarding the LA County Tax Assessor's Appeals Office. And so actually, more than the bill itself, I think what's relevant for our members is the fact that when the LA County Tax Assessor's Office, their job to assess properties, usually when there's a transfer. And so you can actually challenge that if you're not happy with it. And they have what's called an appeals board, an assessment appeals board. And it's made up by residents of LA County. And so that actually one of our members in the region, it sits on that board. And so what this bill is regarding is right now, an employee of the assessor's office, if they want to sit on that board, they have to wait 3 years. And so what this bill, if passed, would lower that to only 1 year. It also expands who's able to sit on that board. And it's a lot of essentially just real estate related industries, obviously real estate, property management, CPAs, appraisers, and whatnot. And so we, as a body, decided that we would approve it if amended so that it sunsets in 3 years, and then we would revisit it.
What's the impact of it to us, or making that
Mhm.
bill passing, or what is the impact?
I don't think it has necessarily a direct impact. I think probably the only thing was if a realtor wanted to sit on that board, they can potentially try to get the information to do that.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily have any direct impact on our association or our members.
Got it. Okay, well, interesting.
Mhm.
All right. I don't know if there's any other thoughts,
Mhm.
questions?
Michael, can I ask a question, please?
Of course, go ahead, John.
Josue, what was the appraised value of the building downtown? Can you share that with us?
I was looking for that, and I was going to throw out a number, but I don't know.
I was too.
Okay,
Is
no
the number-
problem.
Is
Yeah.
the
I thought
number
it was
20?
like 21, right?
That-
I was
Yeah.
going to say 22 million,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess we're right in the same ballpark.
Yeah, I think it was about 21, 42.
Mhm.
Thank you. Michael,
And they
just
bought it in 1980 for $1 million.
Michael, quick comment about people leaving California. According to a published newspaper report, there's been a net loss of 182,000 people. I don't know how accurate that number is, but that's the number being thrown around.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I couldn't remember if he said plateaued or decreased, so I gave my fuzzy answer there. Thank you, John. Yeah. All right. Okay. Other quick topics that just came up. Fair housing in general is still a hot topic as we try to make equality for home ownership across the board. And as we may have talked about in some of our Today Matters emails on Mondays, is the idea of the buyer love letter. That did come up in a couple different meetings that I attended. And that is that it is not a good idea. It is from CAR's position that, and NAR, it is not a good idea. And it's, they would like to prohibit buyer love letters being given to the seller, because that could make the seller, if they go one way or the other, someone could come back and say, well, you discriminated for one of the, race, color, gender, religion, what have you. And so it is not a good idea to be using buyer love letters, although we all love to use it because we feel that it puts some personality and a face to the numbers on a piece of paper with our offer. But it was recommended to just make your offer stronger more than anything else. So also in the risk management meeting, it was also brought up about agents and buyers that are writing offers with no contingencies whatsoever, zero, which would be that the minute you put your deposit in, you are risking that deposit. It's not even risking, you are forfeiting that deposit right away. And so there will be implications if you're doing it too much, and they are worried about potential lawsuits. So those are a couple other topics. Well, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, I say something, Michael. I just want to thank all of you that took the time to share the information. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Josue, for being here today. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. Enjoy your
Bye,
day.
everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, thanks, guys.